WFM 91.7.
Good morning. It is 8 minutes past 9 on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. And it is time for Panorama. Panorama is where we have the ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to discuss, dissect, and disagree on topical issues. And as always, it's always an amazing time being on Panorama, discussing with the ladies, talking about different issues in the society, and we get to talk about how they affect us and prefer solutions as well. Talking about them from different point of views. I mean, that's what makes the whole essence of the conversation. My name is Esther Alaribe, and I am your host on the show as always. Yes, the phone lines are open for you to be a part of the conversation. Let's talk about these issues. The phone lines 07000 917 917, or you can send us a text or a WhatsApp message 070 56537. You can listen live via the website www.wfm917.com. Download the mobile app to listen live, WFM 917. You can find us across all social media platforms at WFM 917. This morning, I'm going to be speaking to Ibn Abo Dixon. Good morning, Ibn Abo. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good morning, Esther. I'm doing fantastic.
Good to have you join us. Yes, as always, it's always a pleasure having you on the program.
Yes, and good morning to all our valued listeners. It's always great to have them over there listening.
Yes, so
and contributing. Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this conversation that we're going to be starting off with first, it's more like an offshoot of what we had on the newspaper review this morning. A lot of people have made comments about it, talking about why lawmakers are preparing to buy official vehicles at this time when a lot of Nigerians are having to cut down on cost on different things, and the cost of living is biting hard on Nigerians, saying there should be some kind of sensitivity when we do stuff and knowing when to do what. It might be for a good cause, but when you get to do it determines a whole lot. So we've taken some of this. People have reacted, Nigerians have reacted to this on the newspaper review. But now let's hear what we're going to be discussing here. So this one. Now, the House of Representatives is set to purchase and distribute over 300 new vehicles worth about 130 million naira each to its members. Now, hold on. Now, the point for us to actually look here, a few clarification. These vehicles are to be allocated to the offices of these members as utility operational vehicles tied to the office. This is just to help them function in the discharge of their duties, and they are not personal gifts. They are not personal vehicles to these members. So we need to set that one out. So these vehicles, for the duration of this 10th National Assembly, that's from 2023 to 2027, these vehicles will remain the property of the National Assembly. But Nigerians still have concerns about this particular one, saying that at this time when people are struggling with a whole lot, how many people would you explain to say that, oh, these vehicles are meant for the offices and not for the people? How many people would you explain to? How many people will understand? For all the Nigerians know at this point in time, you're buying vehicles worth 130 million naira each, and you're buying over 300 items, and you're having to think about the money. What would this money have done for the masses? What would this money have done for Nigerians? That's where they're looking at it from. Ibn, but what do you think? So that's why I said it might be for a good cause, but Nigerians are saying that buying this or making this purchase at this time, or for whatever reasons, it's just highly insensitive. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much, Esther. You see, we are in very unusual state, a very unfriendly situation. When you take the economic power from any human being, you have partially paralyzed such a person. When there is no purchasing power for a living soul, a living person, then you begin to wonder, how does the person survive? Because your survival depends on your pocket and how you can access, the very essentials that keep your body and soul together. So we all are aware that the economy is not smiling. And we are all aware that some of these politicians who I feel that were a bit silver-tongued in the campaign period have suddenly forgotten all the promises they made. Yes, when you assume an office or a role, there should be means of, carrying out your responsibilities. There should be a measure of comfort given to that office so that your head is calm, you can go about your duties and see to all of the deliverables to the people. But aside from the fact that the whole world is crying at this time, the economic crunch is not the business of just one country. It's cuts across the globe. And then Nigeria has its own peculiar problems of poor governance, poor management of our funds. We have had series of, people from different ministries as ministers and as commissioners who have embezzled money at different times. So if you put all of this together, not forgetting what COVID-19 did to the whole world. So there is no money anywhere. Nobody has money. Everybody's managing. Which ones now, Esther? Is it a secret that even in developed countries there had been, going to protest, due to economic hardship? And here we are in a country where we now buy PMS for as high as 700, 600, 800 naira per liter. And you know that a lot of things that we do, in fact, the pump price of PMS is very pivotal to what the economy says internally, because it's going to affect us in the area of transportation. As a matter of fact, in running your business, as I'm speaking with you, Esther, I am the one supplying myself and the entire outfit energy. And I know how much that costs me on a daily basis. In my place of work, I have to do that. At home, I have to do that. If you walk to the marketplace with 20, let me say 30,000, and being the minimum wage for now, you can't do much with that money, because a bag of rice already is over 50,000 naira. So when you look at all of this, and people have been talking about it, and recently we had, politicians went around campaigning. Election was just a few months ago. So prior to the election days, we had politicians going from, end to end, here and there, campaigning and making all of the promises, and sounded as if they understood the state of the economy. And then the truth of the matter is, what's the percentage of inflation, the inflation rate before May 29 and today is different, is higher. So putting all of this together, does it not occur to our leaders that it calls for a lot of, cutting down on expenses? even on expenses such as this, irrespective of the fact that these vehicles, when purchased, will be used officially. I mean, companies do have official vehicles and some members of staff. So
Yes.
it's not new. But we are saying they should put into consideration the situation of the country. Because every kobo matters. Every expenditure has to be thoroughly, viewed. You have to dissect it. You have to be sure that it is very, very necessary before money should be spent. But all that you have gotten from our leaders is feeling of nonchalance, or at least that is how they come across to us. Because when you keep harping on the fact that these vehicles are official vehicles, then you ask yourself, every 4 years we buy these vehicles. So for the past few years, this is the 10th assembly. We had the 9th, the 8th, the 7th, and back like that. What happened to these vehicles? I mean, individually, we know how long we manage our vehicles in Nigeria. So what happened to those vehicles? How come? Was it that they were auctioned and now the money, you add a little bit of money to it and buy new ones, or what happened? Because from what I've been able to gather, at the end of the term of each assembly, these vehicles are alleged to be auctioned, and these people buy. And I'm almost sure that they will be auctioned at very, very ridiculous prices. So are we forward thinkers? Are we sensitive to the plight of ordinary Nigerians? As leaders, as lawmakers, are we sincerely for the masses, or we are for ourselves? These are the questions we should begin to ask themselves. Because you cannot continue to display an attitude of nonchalance to the plight of the ordinary man, and you expect the ordinary man to understand with you, to appreciate that, okay, these vehicles are, yes, you know that we're not expecting them to check all over the place. But let us address them individually. If an individual in your home, as a lawmaker in your home, you have financial crisis, will you be doing this? Are you going to? I mean, these people are well versed when it comes to the state of the economy and how to carry out their responsibilities. They know, they understand the state of the economy. So that is why we are worried that their action is not, in consonance with what they promised us. Because if you feel my pulse, you will not, that we are suffering in Nigeria. So many things have gone bad. The economy is so sick. So it calls for cutting down on expenses. But it doesn't seem as if our leaders understand that part of the whole story. They seem to be very insensitive to that. It's like, whether the economy is poor or not, I can't cut down my standard though. So when you have not been able to address the state of the economy, and all you are doing is to further escalate the problem, then whatever happens to all of the promises you made? Because when you are promising people in a country where the economy is so bad, the first thing is to show solidarity in cutting down on expenses of governance, so that people will understand that our leaders are very much with us. They are even, they have done A, they have done B, they have done C. So let us realize that they feel what we are going through. How does a man who is very, very comfortable understand the plight of that man that is suffering? It is not easy. It is not easy. If you are surrounded by comfort, Esther, you cannot feel the pulse of the poor man. It is not easy. You have to step in his shoes for a moment
to understand it.
To understand it. Because you can't understand why, a man is so aggressive, is displaying all manner of, describe it whichever way you want to. Somebody who has become so pugnacious, who was never like that. Very brash, acts in a manner that is like, is this man okay? You should wonder why he's like that. It is because.
Hello, Ibn Abba, can you hear me? Okay, I think it's some kind of network challenge. We'll get Ibn Abba to get on back. The phone lines are open, 07000 917 917 for you to be a part of the conversation this morning. And you can also send us a text or a WhatsApp message, 070 56537 to be a part of the conversation right here on Panorama. In case you're just joining us, 25 minutes past 9, and this is Panorama on Women Radio 91.7. On Panorama, we have ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to discuss, accept, and disagree on topical issues. And Panorama is broadcast Mondays through Fridays at 5 minutes past 9. My name is Esther Alaribe, and I've been speaking to Ibn Abba Dixon this morning. Yes, Ibn Abba, can you hear me? Hello, Ibn Abba, are you there? All right, so we'll try to reconnect with Ibn Abba in a bit, but in the meantime, we're having to look at this purchase of vehicles by lawmakers and how Nigerians are looking at this this particular act. And Ibn Abba also trying to buttress what Ibn Abba said. She's saying that at this point in time, yes, it might just be the thing to do, but it's not just the right time to do it, as a lot of people are having to just manage what is being what they have, their resources, and trying to see how they can make the best of the situation. But having to see some kind of empathy from our leaders at this time will make a lot of difference, because to the average Nigerian, you're buying vehicles at this time, so it means that there's more money for you to spend on palliatives and what can be done to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians at this time. But why are you not looking in that direction? So having to buy these vehicles at this time might not just be the way to go. And again, Ibn Abba raised a valid concern, talking about the culture of maintenance, about what happened to the other vehicles that were gotten in time past. How well were they maintained? Do we really have to do this every single time? Yes, Ibn Abba.
Yes, so that is just about it. Our lawmakers they have to understand that when you identify with the pains of somebody, that is when you are appreciated. If you say you want to come and help me, and you are busy overspending the little money that we have, I don't see where you are helping. I don't see what it is that you are bringing to the table. I don't feel your compassion. It doesn't show any form of compassion on your part as a leader. Look at the family. Now, a father comes home and tells everybody, see, the way the country is, they're going to cut down on A, B, C, and D. We probably are going to be eating twice a day, breakfast and dinner. We probably will not be having any form of protein in our meal. Maybe no chicken, no beef. Maybe once in a while we share one egg. Like that. And the children understand, okay, daddy, no problem. And then they see that daddy go buy chicken, come has a chop. Buy roasted fish, well garnished. I mean, how do you describe such a head of the family? So you see, sometimes our leaders are the ones who create the room for people to come up with various theories concerning them. Because you cannot be living large and keep telling the people that the economy is bad. We have to manage, endure. The government is going to do so and so for you. Endure. Are you enduring as a government? Are you managing our resources very well as a government? Or you are living as if we are still very rich? And yet you are asking the people to manage. Proposition fare is so high. Some people trek half of their journey to cut costs. And you are there buying vehicles, very expensive vehicles. Anyway, you can buy something cheaper. And it will still serve the same purpose. So you see, our leaders, they have to face the reality.
All right.
That Nigeria is the way it is, and they have to cut the cost of governance. If they don't do that, nobody will view them as being compassionate to the plight or to Nigerians, or they don't understand what Nigerians are going through, and they don't care. People will perceive them as nonchalant. They don't give a damn. They don't care.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Ibinabo, for your thoughts on this one this morning, because really the same thing you have said is what a lot of Nigerians have had to say this morning earlier on the newspaper review, talking about why this is coming at this time and why it should not be a conversation, because we know what we're currently faced and saddled with as a country at this time. So now moving over to the next story, still talking about our lawmakers. This one, there is a bill that is recommending a fine of 50,000 naira to be paid by parents who fail to provide their children with primary and secondary school education. And this bill has passed first reading at the Senate. This bill, titled Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act 2004 Section 2, and this section states that government at all levels in the country shall provide free, compulsory and universal basic education for every child of primary and junior secondary school age. And also, every parent shall ensure that his child or ward attends and completes primary school education and junior secondary school education by endeavoring to send the child to school. Now, also, this act recommends punishments for parents who go against this rule, adding that on second conviction, a fine of 2,000 naira or imprisonment for a term of 1 month or both will be given. Then on subsequent conviction, a fine of 5,000 naira or imprisonment for a term of 2 months or both. Now, this conversation, Ibinabo, I can understand the need to want to put parents on track and ensuring that children actually stay in school. But before you demand from people, or before you hold people to a high standard, what have you done to ensure that this can be achieved? Because if you're asking this parent to either pay a fine of 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira, or risk being detained for a while, what difference does it make? I'm not sure that there's any parent who would have the capacity to keep their children in school who would rather do the other way, except if there are other reasons they're not telling us. But what do you think about this bill and this one?
You see, what do I say? I've realized that, you see, it is easier for our lawmakers to tour the easy road. Now, in some places, this is what we're talking about. When you want to put a law in place, I can't understand where they're coming from, because there are parents who have not been responsible.
Yes.
As regards their children's education. But there are some parents who would need these children to support them once in a while in their trade. There are parents who, like, take for instance, a family where there is no help from anywhere, and the parent is not feeling too well. So what's going to happen to that family? How will that child go to school? Because some people cannot go to the hospital because of the expenses. They can't afford it. So they tend to resort to self-medication. And in doing that, they will need all hands to be on deck in the house. Such family will fall into this category and they will be fined. So there are so many issues, Esther. There are so many issues and they're all intertwined. If only our leaders would just do the needful, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we'll see that in this recent time, a lot of people, for you to understand that most parents would want their children to have at least a secondary school education. That is why you see some parents, sometimes when I see some parents whose children are in private schools, I wonder, how do you pay? Because you look at their living standard and you wonder, how do they get this money to pay for the school fees? And they will tell you they are just doing everything possible within the law to make sure that they give their children at least secondary school education. So there is need for the government. For what they have said, to an extent, I think it is okay because there are some parents who are very nonchalant about their children's education. But that does not speak for everybody. Doesn't speak for everybody. So many things are happening to so many families due to the state of the economy. People have found themselves in places where they never imagined 10 years ago that they will be today. And they are there, and they are trying to survive and come out of that situation. So Nigerians are saddled with too many things. We are in dire straits. So as much as I think that is not too bad, on the other hand, it should be interpreted and not applied. There are cases that you okay, because if you're of course in every school there's a rule that you shouldn't come to school late. But there are children that if you go into their family history or their family story, you would understand why they go to school late. I could recall there was a long time ago, there was these brothers, two of them. They would hawk pap ogi in the morning, early hours, as early as 5. They go about hawking this pap. They already have their customers. They go from door to door. They knock. People who they supply already expect them to supply to supply them paps and everything. They do this, and by 7 o'clock they are back home. Won't they be tired? You want to go to school in the morning. You have already done some kilometers of trekking, and then they will go back home, have their bath, and go to school. Take for instance the distance of their school from their house. Put into consideration the fact that they are strained and stressed in the morning, and they're going to be sleeping in the classroom. But they had to do what they had to do for the family to survive. I'm telling you this because I had a story, and I deliberately looked out for these two boys, and I engaged them. We did the little we could do. But then there are many like that. They had to quickly do 1 or 2 things before they go to school. Some of them would end up missing classes. Some of them maybe they would say, okay, I'm so late today. And I know that they always give us 10 strokes. I don't want that 10 strokes. I will not go to school today. And then they have missed classes. So you see, there are so many things affecting the average Nigerian that sometimes a good parent is beginning to look like a bad one. So I want to advise every parent out there, let us keep doing the right thing. Let us, some people are very adept at dealing with, all issues. Some people are not. They don't know how to handle issues. So when you fall under this category, you are going to, you'll be the first to be punished with all of this bill if passed into law and all of that. So I just want to advise Nigerian parents that as much as the country is the way it is, the economy is the way it is, let us look for the best ways to manage ourselves. Let us look for how best can we put ourselves together without affecting the future of our children's education. Let us make sure that our children do not miss their classes. Let us make sure that, they have a little bit of time to study at home. And then, I don't know what they're going to do, but they have to do it. Because I know it's not easy. It's not easy. I see a woman who sells, what's it called now? Moi moi.
Okay.
In the morning. And in the evening, she sells akara. And on a particular day, I drove past that area and I saw that she was there at about 10 o'clock. And it didn't look as if she was ready to pack her wares and go home. So I wondered what time she would close and go home. And she had, I think, 2 of her children with her. And these children probably are students. They will go to school in the morning. How much hours of sleep do they get? How well are they going to do in the school academically? So the problems keep on piling. The problems keep coming. And we don't know what to do. And the government, it seems to be somehow very slow at, addressing these problems. I know that they're doing something. It is not possible that the government will just sit and fold their arms. They are doing something.
Yeah.
But because of the disaster that we are in, they need to add speed to whatever they are doing. I mean, every problem has an immediate, medium, and permanent solution, long-term solution to it. What are the immediate solutions that they can prefer for now while they are working on the medium and the long-term solution? They need to look into this and look away from themselves a bit. Take attention away from themselves and direct attention to Nigerians for some time. People are really suffering. Parents are beginning to look like bad parents because of what some children will have to go through. Some children don't eat well, yet they work too hard. Parents cannot afford balanced diets in the home. Just eat anything that is in the house. It's not garime, so can drink, go sleep. So the problems are enormous, and they are weighing us down.
All right.
It's sad. It's sad, but we just have to live our lives within the ambit of the law. If they say don't do this, let us endeavor to do it so that we don't fall into. We don't want to be there. We don't want to be there.
True.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibn Abo, for your comments on this one. Truly, I think every parent should try as much as possible. I mean, like the law has stipulated, primary and secondary school education for your child. It's the basic that you can do. But I know that all fingers are not equal. People definitely want the best for their children, but sometimes the odds are not just in your favor, and you have to do like much more work to actually ensure that you're able to do these things for your children. If there's any kind of information that you need, you probably need to actually ensure that you have good information as to how many children you want to have, how you intend to raise them, have like a blueprint of what you want to do for them based on what you can afford. I heard somebody say something one time that I can't remember how now. I'm just going to paraphrase. Say now God they look picking. Say if you know if you take care of people, God go send people. Go something like that, yeah. And when the person said, I just look at the person's face like, in this year you see they find if God send you picking, he go send you person, go take care of them. It doesn't really work that way. It doesn't work that way. Some people also will say picking go bring waiting go chop. I never see picking with carry bag of rice come before, but all the same. What we just have to be intentional and actually work within what you can afford in taking care of your children, in sending them to schools. Yes, I know that there are public schools, primary and secondary schools that you can send your children to if you cannot afford the private schools. We just need to keep talking for the government to actually ensure that these facilities are functional and they are properly safe for the children to move around, and also that the curriculum in the school also is up to date. So all of these things can actually be done if we're intentional, both as followers and as leaders. We can also make all of these things happen. 17 minutes to 10 on Women Radio, WFM 91.7, and this is still Panorama. Panorama is where we have the ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to discuss, dissect, and disagree on topical issues. My name is Esther Alaribe, and I've been speaking to Ibn Abo Dixon. The phone lines are open, 07000 917 917, or you can send us a text or a WhatsApp message, 070 317 56537. So, before we wrap up this morning, this one, a woman made a post talking about how she overheard two other women talking about another woman. So you see all these kind of stories of, I hear say person talk say, but these are real life issues that happen in our societies. So this woman overheard two other women talking about a particular woman whose husband had served her divorce papers. And this caused this woman other health issues leading to high blood pressure, and this woman was also pregnant, and this woman lost her life in the course of this pregnancy due to all of the whole health issues that have come up after she got served divorce papers. I mean, first, who even serves a pregnant woman divorce papers? That's another conversation first. But looking at the core of this conversation, according to this woman, these two other women were blaming this woman who was passed on for getting pregnant, not knowing the kind knowing the kind of person that her husband is, knowing that he could serve her divorce papers at any time. Then they also went on to see how the man doesn't deserve the woman in beauty, the woman is more beautiful, all of this kind of talk. They also blamed her for trusting her husband and taking the marriage too seriously. I don't even know what that means, because how would you not take your marriage seriously? Why are you even going into it first if you're not going to take it seriously? Now, the point here is all of this blames, the conversation from these two women, they were all blames for this woman who was passed on. Not a single blame for the man who served his pregnant wife divorce papers or abandoning her for the pregnancy, causing her all of these health issues, making her to lose her lives. And now the conversation here is, you probably must have heard some people say that women do not support women. Women are the enablers of misogyny against women. Women, all of those things that we just get to hear. These are the issues, Ibn Abo. Let's hear your thoughts. What do you think about this one? Because there's so many issues really for me in this one. The husband, why are you abandoning your pregnant wife? Why are you serving her divorce papers in the course of pregnancy? How I mean, it must really be biting for you to want to leave the marriage just almost immediately.
Okay, thank you, Esther.
Yes.
You see, there's something I say every time, and I will always say it. Survival is instinctive. God has given you life. Whatever you make of that life is your responsibility. And then, you see, there comes a time that we should face whatever reality is on ground concerning us. Yeah, the woman developed high blood pressure because you see sometimes when something that is like a bolt from the blue happens to you, it will sweep you off like a whirlwind or like a massive flood. You understand? But in all of that, I want to believe that when you are married to a man, probably while you were courting, you didn't pay attention. There were some deal breakers that could have, even prevented the relationship to culminate into marriage and everything, but you ignored. If that was the case, even at that, you see this is our mind. If we pause a moment and listen to ourselves,
okay,
to an extent we have the power to control our mind, our thoughts. That is the part that psychologists do to help people out of some crazy habits and all of that. Because you have it. but probably you don't know how to use it. The fact that a woman gets pregnant and the man begins to misbehave is a whole lot. It's enough to to turn you to what they call your life is like it has cut into pieces. You don't even know which one to pick. You don't know how to couple them back together. But you see, in life, we should begin to tell ourselves that nothing is permanent. Good days will either be better or go back to being bad. Bad days could either be worse or start being good. So I'm just, at this point, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just trying to tell anyone out there. Peradventure, you find yourself in this situation. It is not the end of your life. The earlier you pick up the pieces and begin to put them together, the better. Because if it takes too long before you realize this, you would have done a bit of damage to yourself and even to the unborn child. Take it or leave it, there is a connection between the pregnant woman and the unborn baby.
Mm-hmm.
And if we truly believe, you see that sometimes when you see a child, like you see your child, this child reminds you a lot about you when you were much younger. And you wonder, how come? There are things that even science cannot explain. They just explain it their own way. I remember a woman, she was pregnant. And she said she was always, I think she was having issues with her husband. So she was always lost in thoughts. She would just make mistakes. Either she would burn the food or she would make one mistake in the kitchen or somewhere, wherever, you understand. So she was, at a particular time when she was frying whatever. And unfortunately, she had to scald herself with the hot oil. And this oil poured on a spot on her stomach, and she was pregnant. Esther, till today, I cannot explain it, but she gave birth to a baby girl, and this girl had a scar on that same spot on her tummy. So, how do you explain that? Was it that they born when, I know that it is an umbilical cord that connects the baby, the woman to the placenta of the baby. So how did that baby have that mark on that same spot? As I was not told, I saw. So you see, I always tell people, when you are pregnant, try as much as possible to be of the right mindset, because you don't know what your sadness or whatever you are thinking about will be doing to your unborn child. And I want to talk to women. My people say, far away bend, they take in big, they do wuru for ground, they scatter where ants they. Yes, they up. So you see, the point that women don't support women, I can't completely say it is not true. But I feel that where we are today, we are in a better place than we used to be. And it will only get better. Because if women, for instance, let me digress, do not collaborate with the men to punish widows, the problems, the price of the widows would have been drastically reduced in some parts of Nigeria. But women allow themselves as instruments of punishment to their fellow women who are widows. So, what am I saying? Let us be a support system to our fellow human being, more so your fellow woman, especially when she's pregnant.
All right.
because pregnancy is a journey that is not funny. So whatever that woman is going through, and you keep blaming her, what if she gets to hear about it, and then she begins to think of something crazy as suicide? You have indirectly killed her. Should she go ahead and do that? Let us be mindful of how we judge others, because others will judge us too.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibinabo, for your thoughts this morning. Really, on this one, having to think about it. Really, I mean, you've said all of it. I don't have anything to add. I think that's enough words for the women out there, because at the end of the day, if women do not find a way to provide support for each other, it will just allow for the patriarchal society that we see that's allowed or hindered women from being who they ought to be, to just continue to thrive. And a classic example is the one you just gave about the widows and the harmful treatment being meted out to them in different communities. So yes, so I think that's enough words for the women out there. Thank you so much, Ibinabo, for being on the program today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on Panorama. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, you too. And yes, it's a wrap on Panorama this morning. Do well to join us again tomorrow at 9:05 as we get to discuss, accept, and disagree on topical issues. My name is Esther Alaribe. Up next is Radio Doctor with Rose Yusuf Kesar, and the conversation today, the women. This is for you. Today's Radio Doctor on Tuesdays is dedicated to women's health, and we're discussing what you should know before getting pregnant. I mean, this conversation this morning is everything pregnancy journey, and you should not miss it for anything. My name is Esther Alaribe. Up next is Radio Doctor. Good morning.
To sponsor WFM 91.7.